Hello, everyone. Welcome to Forge the Narrative. My name is Paul Murphy, your host. I am joined by Red Powell
What up?
and Tanya Gates.
Hey, everybody.
We are the Bell Lost Souls podcast. Anna Camilleri is traveling through Europe. He's going to be doing some work at the WTC. Check out that coverage. You don't want to miss it. It is some of the best players in the world competing for the glory of their nation. It's a pretty cool thing. It's very important to him. So check it out, and also see if you can get that little spark about maybe why it's important. He's going to bring you all that enthusiasm. I'm certainly missing. I got a sense of FOMO when it comes to being on the mic and being on the table. But check him out. We are right on the back of Gen Con. Red and I were at Gen Con. Tanya, missed you there. Folks came up and said, what's up? Gotta give a shout out to everybody that came by the Games Workshop booth and said hello, that they like the show and they like what we're doing. It meant a whole lot. Really appreciate it. That was people from all over. Other vendors there, con goers there. Of course, 40k players and Games Workshop game players alike. It was really nice to see people coming up and saying hello and then passing their hellos through me and through Red onto the rest of y'all. Well, I'll make sure Adam knows that as well. But it was fun. Red, what'd you think?
It was a blast. I mean, every year Gen Con keeps getting bigger. I think they said there was 80,000 plus people, which is just mind blowing in the amount of people there were. And it is a family friendly event, and you see all sorts of, ranges of generations of folks that are there. It is largely like a board game focused event. However, to be there with the GW team and friends and family, it was really awesome time spent, really great engagements across the board and who we got to see along the way. And it's one of those things. This is my fourth time going. It's my second time with the GW team, and just couldn't ask to be with a better team in a lot of ways. And also the people that are there. It's my second year running the Kill Team Dungeon Crawl, and we had people coming back that had been there before, that had been there the year before that, and they were coming back for this, not just for me, but for the event itself, and to have that kind of reoccurring reunion kind of deal was it was pretty awesome, pretty special, pretty great.
Talk about the dungeon crawl, because that is not something. So Games Workshop, they bring a couple of cool games to this convention. They're not box games. They're never going to exist as something that is off the shelf or an offering, but it's something fun to do at this particular type of convention. And dungeon crawl and giant size Space Hulk are two of those things. But can you talk about the dungeon crawl?
Yeah, so dungeon crawl. So it was cool. They had this walk up and play session. And Paul, you were doing demos, right? And so walk up.
I'm nodding for the folks on the podcast. Yes.
Yeah. And so you can walk up and play, and it's really cool because it's just a generic ticket at Gen Con. They have a whole ticket system, but essentially it's $2, right? For $2 for an hour time slot, you could either do Age of Sigmar, Face the Skaven Tide, which was like Spearhead playing Age of Sigmar, and then the GW team member Demian, who was there, was essentially playing Waves of Skaven, and you just had to fight them off, and you got to see how many you could essentially defeat in the time you had available. And you also learned to play, right? Spearhead is pretty easy, quick, and easy to get down to. And then Tony was the team member leading the 30K Horus Heresy Istvent drop site. And so you might have been to a GW event where they've had the drop site massacre laid out with Fulgrim and Ferrus Manus in the middle fighting. Well, this time it was you got to pick one of the sides and you got to play in the drop site massacre, which I thought was awesome. Because again, it's very much an introductory level play to Horus Heresy. And then you get to the dungeon crawl, which was me and Chris Stover were leading that. And this is a completely you can recreate this game. It is while there was some Gen Con specific aspects to it, it's absolutely, you could do this at home on your own. And it was cool because we're a distance away. You can see in the distance there's Avalon Hill, which is those are the people that make Talisman and Hero Quest, and so we're not too far from them, and we're sitting there playing.
Which are Games Workshop licensed games, I think. You'll see on the back of the box those are GW games.
Yeah, something like that, right? And then when you look at Kill Team, so the dungeon crawl, it is Kill Team rules. It's all Kill Team rules. And there were a lot of people we had come up had never played Kill Team before. But you jump into this and it has some roguelite aspects. We've essentially taken 3 boarding action sets and put them together. And so you have 3 Into the Dark from Kill Team. And so you have this maze dungeon kind of deal laid out, and then in this case we ran it similar off of like Space Marine 2. We essentially said, it's like a facility on Kadaku, which is the planet where all the Tyranids are invading in Space Marine 2, and each player got to be a Space Marine. You got to be either an assault intercessor or a intercessor with like a ranged weapon, and then they essentially had to fight their way through room by room, where we would randomly spawn essentially what was in each room based on certain levels of difficulty, and then they had to fight their way through trying to kill this Norn emissary or assimilator, depending on which card you drew, would be waiting for you at the end. And needless to say, in a good roguelike fashion, most people made it about 3 or 4 rooms in before they would get wiped out, because the Tyranids, I mean, it's just, but you would get gear. And so we had a mechanic where you'd get loot. And so you started as a Space Marine with either just like a bolt pistol and a chainsword, or you had like a bolt rifle and your straight up fist, which I always thought was funny because they just go in and start punching people. But you could get like there were thunder hammers, there were lightning claws, there were melta guns, there were plasma guns, there was gravis armor. There's all sorts of stuff that you could add. And the thing is that the players could keep those cards. And so we had people returning from last year or the year before that had gear that they had collected from those previous adventures, and they were allowed to like bring that back in and keep playing with it. And so I would have people, that we saw, Thursday, that would show back up on Friday, that would show back up on Saturday, that would show back up on Sunday with more and more gear every single time, trying to get the right loadouts so that they could make it further. I mean, unsurprisingly, flamers are very effective, right? Using the Kill Team rules, like a blast that
What,
just
in a
hits,
Space Hulk fighting against Tyranids, a
right?
flamer might be
Very
useful?
effective. Yeah, very useful. Very useful. And when you have, 4 people running down hallways with all of them have hand flamers or flamers, you definitely saw the use of it. And so it was a lot of fun. I think people I had a great time playing with others. I had a joke, because of course I'm a, uh, effectively I was the dungeon master, and I was trying to have this great time with everyone, and I would convey to them more often than not, I was like, hey, I want you to have the best possible time you can have. That doesn't mean that I want you to win necessarily, because I want you to come back. I want to spend more time with you, so I'm just going to keep killing you, so you have to come back, and then we spend more time. And it was good. Had a lot of fun.
It does sound fun. So the mechanic is you started as a character, you got loot, you could keep that loot. You end your session, you die or you play for the hour and you're done. You could wander off and then come back, and then you start with the loot that you got. So any upgrades or whatever can stay
That's right.
with you, and you can bring those back. And some of the loot that dropped was like things at the store. You get like a free T-shirt or a
That's
plushie,
right. That's right.
at the store, or that which
There was a
was
paint
was kind
pot
of
or a
cool.
paint handle. Yeah, there was some cool
Yeah.
stuff to that. It was, some RNG on the loot and everything, but there was some cool stuff to it. There was, and we even had some people, because a little bit of a distance away. So some of the other stuff, they had a paint and take kind of deal, which is something they've done before, where essentially you get in line, you walk through, and you get to sit down. They give you a Space Marine model, and you can paint that Space Marine model. They've got just a bunch of paints laid out. You can.
With people instructing you how to paint as well.
That's
So
right.
these are
Yeah,
actually, folks like Adam from the YouTube channel is on there
that's
uh,
right.
doing painting tutorials and stuff for folks.
Yeah.
It's a neat experience.
Awesome team members that were engaged, and but what was cool is we had several people come over with their Space Marines and essentially use those to play in the dungeon crawl. Like that was the model that they used to run through to like indicate who they were, which I thought that was pretty cool. I think it made it kind of special for them. So yeah, it was an awesome time, great time. I can't wait to go back again.
Something that has been sort of at GW events before is like the bits sort of thing, where they just like have the big bins of bits and you create something from it. Did they
Oh
have
yeah.
that this time?
Not at Gen Con. I know I saw that last I was at Dallas Open. I think they did it. Might have
I
done it
was at
again at
Tacoma too,
Tacoma.
like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
bit challenge, basically, like where you
yeah,
like lots of sprues where you break them out, you build something
yeah.
for I mean, I think another hour. You build it for an hour, and then if you could enter it into a contest to see if you built the best, bit monstrosity or whatever.
Right, right, yeah.
I think that seems super fun. I would like to do that someday. Someday, that's like on my bucket list.
Yeah, the other
At
cool
the
thing that oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, so at the opens there is a bunch of hobby stuff. Like
Yep,
there's hobby classes and those types of things, and including paint takes and stuff like that. There are things to do at opens other than play in the various of like tournament or competitive events or heck even narrative events. There's even more stuff to do. Sorry,
that's
Brad, I
right.
jumped in.
No, no. I was just gonna add on, because other fun stuff that they had at Gen Con, I remember they did it last year too. They had these SEAL team events where like I think it was like $60, and then essentially you showed up and for 2 hours, they gave you a pre-constructed kill team. They were
Like
also doing
built
it for
already built and everything.
yeah, built and ready to go. It was just primed, but you got to keep it. You took it home with you, and so they would teach you how to play kill team, and you could play against other people, and you could just go through and you could do multiple. Yeah, I mean, learning how to play, you could easily take the 2 hours, but you could just get a game in. You could probably play two people if you had a little bit of experience. But I thought it was really awesome introductory level. They also did that for Blood Bowl, which is pretty cool to see some of the Blood Bowls out there, Blood Bowl teams. So it's pretty
Love
great
Blood
events.
Bowl. Yeah, Blood
Yeah.
Bowl is awesome. Like I said, Blood Bowl stood the test of time. I can't talk enough about Blood Bowl, but it is a fabulous game, and it plays just like a board game, very much like of the vibe of Gen Con. Gen Con is it's so weird. It's massive. You're in these massive event halls full of vendors, and if you're an attendee, you can basically go from booth to booth to booth playing, I don't know, 100 different board games a day or something like that, and then work your way through 3 days of the convention. I guess 4 days of the convention, and probably play. Do that, repeat that over and over and over again each day, never going
Yeah,
back to the same board game unless
for
you
sure.
want to.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the stuff they have there, I mean, again, like Gen Con is just, I think it's a lot of people come into it. I got a couple things, outside of what was already there, and what GW had. I got a signed book from one of my favorite authors that happened to be there. It was really awesome. And so it's just really great artists and other things that are being put on show for sale and whatnot. So it's really great gathering.
I was at the booth doing Kill Team demos. Kill Team Live was there also. This is like the laser tag stuff that
Oh yeah, yeah, that was
that
awesome.
that Games Workshop does, which is it's you're playing, essentially Kill Team. It's just like it says, you're playing Kill Team Live. You're playing two teams, orcs versus humans, or Krieg, fighting for objectives in an arena filled with lights and smoke and sound and everything else, with the actual taggers going around and zapping folks and scoring points.
I
But
gotta say,
also,
I think the Astra Militarum team is missing out by not having to be in full, chemical gear like the Krieg. So like, I really feel like they're losing out on that experience. Tanya, I think as far as the orcs go, they've got some really the shooters and everything are.
he
I
couldn't
don't know
even
if you.
say it with a straight face.
I can't.
You
I
see
know
how
he
he
hates
soured
orcs
up?
so much.
It
You see how
hurts
he
me.
soured up?
I
Uh,
tried. Okay, I tried. Give me some credit.
were people yelling "wah" before they went in though?
I don't know.
All
I
the
don't.
time.
I blocked that stuff out.
Yeah. It's all the time. You could hear it from where they were doing it separated from where we were
Mhm.
by a little bit, but not too far. You can go, but it's put it on your list. If you go to Gen Con and haven't done this type of stuff, do this type of stuff. Like, or maybe even put Gen Con on your list in general. It's got it's a super chill vibe. It's so weird. It's like, it's so chill, even though there's all those people there, like 7:30, 8 o'clock, like most of the people just go back to their rooms and play games or something. I have to assume that's what's happening.
That's one thing, timeline wise. There's a lot of different events we've done, Tacoma, Dallas, what have you. They go late. They run late. Games play into the evening and whatnot. Gen Con, the exhibit hall shuts down at 6, and everything, like, people keep playing. The open area exhibit is still running, like, I think, till midnight or something like that. But yeah, Paul, like you said, I mean, I think it's everything within 6 blocks. You can essentially go into any of the hotels or whatever and find different rooms that people are playing games and organized events and things like that. It's pretty awesome.
Some of those hotels are connected, so you can kind of wander to find, some different people doing things, maybe find an experience you didn't, know was happening or whatever. But it's incredibly chill. And Indianapolis seems like a pretty nice town, and always enjoyed it and really liked being there. And I was out there. I was right next to the Terminator. I felt like I was photobombing everybody's picture of the Terminator. Like, that's
The
so I
most photographed
apologize. Use
man.
some kind of program to get me out of there if you happen to get a picture of the Terminator.
Uh,
Don't want me staring at the camera or whatever. Um, but I really like it felt like this event, even more than the past ones, was really helping folks take like their first steps into the miniature gaming hobby, which is kind of neat. And Kill Team, this edition of Kill Team is fabulous. It really does play very fast. Some of the rules, like it takes longer to explain how close combat works than it takes to do close combat.
Well, and tell you, having done it several times, yeah, just like you saw probably with the demo, right? Like people get it. Once you
Yeah.
play it through a few times intuitively, they really, it just starts to roll. You get it. Like you understand the back and forth. And so I appreciate that.
I set up the demo so I set it up to where it was basically like a meat grinder. Like after
Sure.
turning point, Kill Team has played over 4 turning points, and I set it up to where there was like basically 1 or 2 models left at the end of the turning point one.
Sure. Well,
Like
I mean,
just an
and that's
absolute, just play.
right. Well, but if you advance it right, and I think you probably approached it the correct way, right? Turning point one in most kill team games, you can't score any objectives. They're not. It's usually just that's the positioning, right? Like
Yeah.
that's how you get into position. And then turning point two is a bloodbath, and in most cases, having TO'd several events now for kill team, if people are in turning point three and over half of both players' armies aren't off the table because they've been wiped out, you're probably doing something wrong.
Well,
Like
I
that.
told him I said you will walk away from this with one thing in mind when you're playing at home. Why on earth did he put those models there?
Right.
Like, because I want to show you the rules. We're going to be showing you the rules. This is going to be mayhem. This is going to be mayhem on mayhem, bloodshed. And I said, I'm going to hand you the heavy bolter. Rain death across to the table.
Yeah.
But you know what? That is actually how I approach teaching almost all miniature games to new people. I start in my list building, and I try to bring a sort of variety of different things so that they can experience what it's like for that unit type to go into one of my units. And that didn't work, so maybe I'll try something else next turn.
Sure.
And absolutely I just like push everything out into the middle so that they can get charges off and that they can shoot stuff and get all of their different abilities off and stuff, because there's no point in teaching somebody how to play the game if they don't actually get to use the rules.
Yeah, that's
right.
You're exactly right. That was the approach I went with. It's like we're gonna showcase all the rules here in the first turning point, including claiming an objective, and including bashing folks in with a power fist and flinging this flail and sniper rounds and everything. I said, look, there's gonna be some stuff. You have command points. Know that you're gonna be gaining points. Things you can use to do heroic or villainous things. But right now,
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
mayhem. And anyway, it was fun. But after we went through turning point one, which basically was turning point two,
Right.
and lots of models, getting interacted with. Probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
But folks are like, yo, how do I get in on this? Which is cool. And you tell them it's a build, paint, and play game. And this is something that you're looking. And thankfully, I had the starter set there exactly what it was. Like, this is what you're getting for the starter set, and you could be doing this, and just know you'd be playing better than this. Like during this, much more strategic as we're trying to around hug and cover and using conceal and things like that. Like, it becomes a much more tactical game. We're not just thrown right here in the middle of it. But I will tell you this: when you take these models home, they're yours. You could do this all the time if you wanted to.
That's right.
Which is the truth, Like, we get locked into that whole, like, this is match play, we do it this certain way, and whatever. But talking about taking those first steps into miniature gaming, when I wasn't doing the Kill Team demos, I was hanging out in the booth, and people are asking me, they feel like, they'd say things like 40k takes too long. That is, or it's
Right.
too much. Seems too complicated. It's too many units or whatever. I was like, well, the tutorials you're looking at, or the things you're watching on YouTube, are typically probably going to be 2,000 points or more. You don't have to play that way. Combat
Right.
Patrol, while we can critique the balance of some of the combat patrols, it is designed to play one box on one box.
That's right.
And things like a 500 point game exist. Like, you could do that. You don't have to play 2,000 point match play, but yet that is what you see a lot on the YouTube and that kind of stuff. And now, granted, I wasn't necessarily trying to convince them otherwise, because they wanted to play Kill Team, and I wanted them to play Kill Team, and I showed them Kill Team. But I, as a what I told him, like, this Space Marine captain in this Kill Team is the same captain you could use in 40k as well, if you wanted to get curious about it. And
Right.
the complexity of the units that you add are up to you. Like, you get to decide when you go for 500 points, and there will be people, you walk into any game store just about anywhere in the world at this point and play something other than 2,000 point match play if you want to.
I actually like that there's a number of different creators within like the YouTube communities that are coming up with their own sort of extra rules in order to play different scenarios that are much smaller and faster play, but also like much larger if you want to play a game that takes all day but isn't necessarily apocalypse with tens of thousands of points. They've got different formats for that, and I think that sometimes people should maybe like stretch their brain muscles a little bit and maybe think about different scenarios that they could play out that could be super fun.
I agree, but someone who's not gotten into the doesn't even have a rule book, doesn't even see that 1,000 points is an option kind of thing. It's like, it's kind of being shown that it is an option or whatever, I think is something that we'd be accepting. If you're explaining the game to people from their first time, don't jump into, well, it's 2,000 points, the missions rotate every 6 months, and there's balance, and maybe there's this whole thing called legends. Like, people are like, man, I just want to roll dice, I want to use this cool model, and I want to bash somebody's head in with a power fist. Those are the types of things that that become evocative of what they want to do. And I think sometimes we get in the way. And I tried to make it my mission over the course of the weekend to not get in the way. But there's a but.
But
So also playing with different levels of involvement with the hobby as well. And I had a guy come in. He's like, I play Blood Angels. I really want Blood Angel Terminators, but I don't like the fact that the Blood Angel Terminators are smaller than the new Terminators. He's like, are there any new Blood Angel Terminators? And I said, well, there aren't. I said, but these Terminators can be like, all the shoulder pads and all the heads are the same. You can mix and match. He's like, no, I really want these Terminators. He's like, well, I think I want the shooting Terminators. And I was like, well, I mean, if you do, you do. So, yeah, I said, and I want you to get them. He's like, no, I think I really want these. So he kept going back and forth, and I was like, hey, what about Blade Guard? And I was explaining to him that Blade Guard, are Primaris scale, hold all the bits for Blood Angels extremely well, and he wasn't convinced. Like, which is cool, right? Because he came in, he wanted a certain thing. He loves Terminators, and how could you not love Terminators? I was like, well, but then he kind of got caught in, well, effectiveness or whatever. It's like, man, I just played in a tournament. This is my list, and I got Blade Guard.
Did you end up selling him?
Yeah.
Did you end up selling him on the Blade Guard?
No, I did not.
He stuck to his guns.
Oh yeah, which granted, we also didn't have what he was looking for. As far as like on the shelf, this was like a Sunday morning kind of conversation, and so a lot of stuff had been kind of gone picked through. I mean, yeah, thankfully the event store, I will say, typically packs some stuff that's hard to find in other stores, and so there's a big, and I'll get to this, there's a big depth of things that you can that is there available at this store, which is really nice. It's a treat to the folks that can make it to the event. You'll see, maybe a box or something on the shelf that is not in your local store. But he asked me, he's like, well, how'd you do? I was like, man, I came fourth. I said, I came fourth. What does that mean?
For
I
that
wanted to say,
already.
I don't know how close you gonna come with Terminators in this blood angel list. But that's not what I said. That's not even how I feel. Like, because I sometimes you have a unit inside you, and you want to manifest it on the table, and I get exactly what that guy was talking about.
Vindicators
Like,
and Bane swords. Yep.
uh, yeah,
Yep. I feel that.
and so anyway, he didn't have what he wanted. But I did direct him to the upgrade sprue, and now it can work on the Terminators, and their parts like these. The thing about Marines is that there's the scale of things, like the stuff you want to swap most of the time is going to fit exactly fine, heads and shoulder pads and weapons and that kind of stuff most of the time. But no, he did not get the blade guard. But the blade guard is so good. But it wasn't what he was there for, and I wasn't trying to oversell it. I just wanted to let him know this looks cool at a Blood Angel Force.
Yeah, I mean, in that same vein, I had a ton of people sit down and say, "Hey, I love the lore. I'm into the lore. I follow a lot of stuff, but I've never played before." And like it was that same kind of deal. Kill Team. They're like, "All right, Terminators. How do I get Terminators?" They're like, "Oh, well, they're not in Kill Team yet, but give it a second. In the meantime, learn how to play using all this other stuff. Because if, again, you just go buy one box, that one box and the rules and the app is super helpful, right? Like I was trying to explain to folks because they wanted to know, like, well, how do you generate some of this stuff? Cool thing. Some of the stuff we had was a little Gen Con specific as far as like the monsters in the dungeon crawl.
Sure.
But really,
yeah.
a lot of the stuff you can find they have like Titus missions from like a Titus box set game that's actually still a Kill Team mission set that has like lictors and other stuff in it. And so like there's also a co-op version that you can play Kill Team that's in the rule book that's like you versus what you're fighting against non-player operatives, not to be confused with non-player characters. And so you're fighting NPOs together with another player, and it's like trying to get people that like, hey, you can do this. You can make and I think that there's ways that you could kind of bridge the gap for some players to look at it. Homebrew, what is a Terminator, right? Like, okay, it's got a 2-up save. Everything else is about the same. Maybe stack on a few more wounds.
You got a Power Fist or a Stormbolter.
Yeah.
Those exist.
All the stats are there. None of that other stuff changes. You just give it more wounds and give it a 2-up save, and you've got your own Terminator. You could easily make that jump.
Another memorable one was someone came in looking for like they were brand new, absolutely brand new, wanted a tech priest. And I said, do you want a tech priest or do you want I think, and they mix the things, like they want a tech priest marine or something. And I said, well, there's a tech marine and there's a tech priest. I can take you to both of those things. So tech marine showed over a tech marine, and they were like, what goes with this tech marine? And
Tank.
I looked at the shelf and I was like, ugh. I'm not seeing anything. Like, I wouldn't see my perfect match right here for this. And I didn't. And I was like, ugh. And I stood there for a second. I was like, don't know. And they're like, is the Tech Marine bad? Like, no, Tech Marine is good. Like, this is a good choice. Like, and they were like, I don't think it is. I'm not sounding like it is. I was like, no. I'm just really not seeing the perfect thing. I said, let me go back in the back. And I went back in the back, and I found a Gladiator, a Vindicator, and a Executioner, or the other Primaris tank. And I came back as like, in order of what I would pick is probably a Gladiator, Vindicator, and then the Executioner. I was like, these go great. And like, it's a close, 1-2, and then the third, kind of thing is what I'd pick if I was going to start from the very scratch and be able to build a force around it. And they ended up going with the Gladiator. And what was kind of funny, some other people got around me and they were like, I want to know what they were ranking my choice. They wanted to rank my choice, which is, by the way, I welcome that. By the way, this is the type of thing, because it is subjective. Like, I want to talk to people about their choice, but they all relaxed when I said Gladiator. but also, how cool is the Vindicator, Red?
Super cool, man. Look at that gun. This stubby little wall breaker with a huge shovel on the front. You can't get past the classic design there. That it's a real thing. I mean, everyone likes a big gun, but knowing that thing just picks up units, why would you stop? And it's got a 2-up save, and it's got higher toughness than most things. I mean, the only thing that makes a Land Raider slightly more appealing to some people is that you can put people inside of it. If
And by
Vindicate.
people, you mean berserkers?
Well, yes, absolutely. Right. That's the correct thing to put inside of them.
But folks absolutely taking their first steps and like, what is, I tell them the same thing as like, lore, play style, look, you decide what's important to you, and then rank them in that, whatever that order you want, and then go for it. And, they wanted a tech marine and they wanted someone to go with that tech marine, and they can have a good basis for a force. Some people were weighing, do I get the combat patrol box or do I get, individual units? I told them, like, look, there's a bit of a like a bundle deal with the combat patrol box, and like if you feel like those are the units that are speaking to you and you want to start with that, this is a good little collection of models that you can go in any direction from for the most part. And they're asking, it's like, well, how would I build it otherwise? Like, well, grab yourself a character model, grab yourself something that leads something, and then maybe grab the unit that they lead. Those are also a nice step to kind of step into this. And folks, really got exposed to the hobby. I think that the crew, from all the various like sections that we were doing things with the paint and take, with the playthroughs, with the SEAL teams, with the booth, with
it really is
Team
just
Live.
one of the best teams.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Just
it's one of those
amazing
things where,
ambassadors of the hobby.
Yeah, and coming together, like, because we all come from different areas, and to be able to spend some time together and then share the hobby and the community, it's kind of some priceless time, like with the team, all when you're all said and done, because you get together and you can tell, like, I mean, Paul, between you and I, we 12-ish hours a day, right? Not counting like setup and teardown, right? And then like, so it's, and you're doing it all for other folks and just trying to help work on the community. And it felt really good to get out there and do that. So it was great.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and talk some more Warhammer stuff, Warhammer related things. See you in a minute.
FTN is brought to you by Discount Games Inc. Please visit them at www.discountgamesinc.com. And don't forget to ask Jay about ways to save even more on your hobby projects.
Hey everybody, we are back. Thank you very much for checking out our sponsors. Check out some t-shirts and some patrons too, if you so choose. But the sponsors, first and foremost, are the ones that help keep this show absolutely free for everybody and help you with those pre-orders. The way stores work now, I think you got to let them know what you want coming up for the pre-orders. So if there's going to be something that we're talking about, something we're reviewing that's really got your interest piqued, go and check them out. Discount Games Jay is fabulous and will be able to hopefully help you get the hobby to yourself faster and get the stuff that in demand that you want. Tanya, you are going to play in a massive game soon, and you're not just playing in it. I don't know if you can tell us a little about what's going on.
Yeah, so I'm going to be gone next week. So if you guys record, I'm going to miss you. But I am going to Mini Wargaming for the big game, and this is going to be the second one that we've held at Mini Wargaming, and it's going to be the third one that I've gone to. We've had it hosted by Scarredcast before, so our buddy Scary has hosted it for us twice. And this is me and my boss that put this on. So I am event coordinating with Mini Wargamer Dave's assistant. So, we're working back and forth to make sure that it goes without a hitch. And yeah, so it is 250,000 points. I have helpers this time around. So it's not just like 3 people moving these models around. We've got some helpers, and it's going to be like a pajama party at the bunker. Everybody's staying. So
that sounds fun.
Yeah, so it's a full day of deployment, and then it is 3 days of gameplay for one giant game, and then 1 day of takedown.
Are folks like assigned like a quadrant or something, and they deploy how they want, or is it like how did you organize that?
Yeah, so basically we have it's apocalypse rules, so everything is sort of separated into detachments, essentially, right? So you're gonna like put down a regiment or a detachment or whatever one at a time, and when you have games of this size, it has to be like really kind of loosey-goosey. So it's not going to be like, I'm going to put this one over here, and then you're going to put that one over there. It's going to be like each person on each team is like, I'm going to take this giant bin, which is like one detachment, right? And I'm going to deploy this. And everybody grabs one and we all deploy it at the same time. And in Apocalypse, you generally want all of these things that are to stay somewhat together. They've got a leader. Someone want to keep them together, so you place them somewhere on one of the tables and then grab the next box and we all do it again. But generally, we're going to place the Titans down first because you kind of want them to be someplace central so that they can affect more parts of the game. Yeah.
How many Titans are we talking about?
I don't know how many are this year. I think we had 3 on the orc side last time I played, but I'm sure. So this is my boss's entire collection of orcs versus Mini Wargamer Dave's entire Chaos collection. So it's like demons, wow, Chaos Space Marines, of course his World Eaters and all of that stuff. So it's all Dave's collection versus all of my boss's orcs. But yeah, I think there might be 2 or 3 Titans on Dave's side as well. So there's like 5 or 6, I think, total.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. And you said, so one day a setup, 3 days of play, and then one day a tear down.
Yeah. And they're long days because you're also filming, right? So anytime that you're filming a battle report, you've got to tack at least like an extra 3 hours on top to film like reactions and all that stuff. I know that the guys at like Mini Wargaming and Play on Tabletop and all that make it look super easy, but these are long days of filming and you have to be on the entire time. So like, while it's amazing because I'm going to Mini Wargaming, that's incredible. I'm going to need a vacation when I get back, and I am actually planning a vacation for when I get back.
How many players are going to be operating the both sides?
Well, I am bringing 3 of my affiliates that I run. I run an affiliate program. So I'm bringing 3 of my affiliates. It's myself and my boss, Dave, and 2 of Dave's assistants at least. So there's going to be 8 of us total, which is 5 more than they had last time. So I think that it's going to be a lot easier on us this time around.
That sounds fun. It does. It sounds pretty spectacular. And the quality of those, the models are going to be awesome. It's going to be a spectacle to behold. Is that going to be open? Is it going to be on one of their open channels? Or you got to be in the bunker or something for this?
I believe that it'll just be on the main Mini Wargaming channel. The last one was, so I imagine that this one will be as well. But there might be bonus content behind the scenes. And I'm going to be posting like little snippets and stuff to both my social media and my work social media as well. So
that sounds great.
Behind the scenes stuff.
I love hanging out with Dave. Like, Dave's such a joy to be around. His enthusiasm for the hobby is, off the charts. And also he makes it fun for other people as well, which is really cool. So, looking forward to keeping your eyes on that. And if you don't know who Mini Wargaming is, then you can't not know if you found us. I don't think, right? But but go check them out as some of the originators of Warhammer content, and have just gotten built strength on strength over the years, and doing it in a way that's like, fun, not just match play stuff like we were talking about before. It's a different way of doing it. And, I just can't say enough good things about Dave and how much fun I have hanging out with him, and how I enjoyed getting to know him over the years, and try to keep up with what he does. And this is sound like it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, a lot of people ask, is Dave really that like exciting in real life? And yes, he has this like childlike sense of wonder. I think it's just 10% more when he's in front of the camera.
I mean, look, I tell you, even when not, hanging out with him at conventions, singing at the top of our lungs at like a cover band, like it's the same energy. It's just awesome on awesome, and his kind of commitment to going beyond the tabletop, kind of thing is nice. So certainly worthy checking out if you haven't already. And if you do encounter him at events, I'm sure he'll be I don't want to obligate him to fist bumps or whatever, but you'll see some of that exude from his presence, which is always nice.
Yes,
Good to
he's
see
very
champions of the hobby.
gracious.
Yeah, out there.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Look, this is gonna be our show this week. We just got off the heels of Gen Con, gonna be back at it next week. This is entering seem to be a very busy season. We've got some tournaments coming up. People are trying to get their tickets for the Grand Narrative and the World Championships of Warhammer coming up later this year. A few more opportunities out there for people to win their entry into that if they haven't already. This is just going to be building bigger and bigger, and we talk about it as we get closer to that. And it's going to be exciting times. We're like the year feels like it's just zooming by, but there's still so much more ahead of us, and I cannot wait to talk about it. It's a pleasure talking with y'all, Tanya, Red. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it's
Tanya,
always a
safe
pleasure.
Travels.
Thank you. Yeah.
Have fun.
Oh, I will.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How could you not? Sounds
Exactly.
awesome. Check it out. I don't know when it's coming out, but we'll let you know when it's going to be released if it isn't soon.
That's
already.
right.
Have a great night, everybody. We'll see y'all soon.
Bye, everybody.